Booyah. All right. All right. Boom. We are live on Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling. All right. Now I'm going to send you the thumbnail. How's your day, bro? How's everything with you?
It's been chill. Just been working on some graphics. It was a long stream last night. I was like, let me not work on any call stuff, but then it's just like can't run from it.
No, no,
I'm always
no.
working on something.
XVPW. LND. All right. And I just emailed you the thumbnail. And hold on, let me email you. Let me get that stream link for you too. Share. Copy link. Chris. Link. Paste. All right.
Anything you would want me to put in this caption for the
Oh no, not really. You can put it like live and direct with X from XVPW, or whatever you like to say, man.
yeah, make
we'll
sure I
start.
got
We'll
the
start exactly at 7. So, yeah.
yeah, okay. I got the link.
All right, I'm gonna start sharing on XVPW side. Damn, damn. XVPW live and direct. With
XPVW, right? I wanna make sure I got
Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling. The XVPW. Yeah. WWE 2K23.
you want me to it's a premiere, so I could just send it now, right?
Yeah, yeah. We are live right now, bro. So we good.
Banger.
All right. And I'll share it on IG. That's where I'm mostly active. Download. Subscriptions. Share. Copy link. Cool. We have 1 more minute. Not bad. Chat. Live and direct with Matsuda Tanaka, owner of. Should I call it Relentless Pro or Rpro?
Either or.
Relentless Pro.
Yeah.
And COH, right?
No. I'm just a part of the roster.
Okay.
The owner of COH is Daniel Lines, Code Lines.
Okay, okay.
That's his yeah.
Alright. Live and direct with Mr. Owner of Relentless Pro. Hashtag Twitch. Hashtag WWE2K23.
I just have a working relationship with COH. We're part of the same network.
True. All right. Link in the stories. Tag people, invite collaborators. X. Cool. You don't have an IG, do you, right?
I do not. Rpro does, but it's like very recent.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's Rpro TV.
Yeah. Okay, now time to post it on the stories. What's up, everybody? We'll be starting in just a few. We're just sharing this stuff out just so we can get a nice, good crowd. There it is. Paste. Click here to watch. All right. Cool. And one more share. I really want to talk about how does it feel being on Twitch, because I used to do Twitch, but that was a while back.
Yeah.
I know it must have changed.
I've been doing it for not that long, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not very familiar with the YouTube side of things, but I'm more comfortable with Twitch.
Oh snap! Somebody liked. I feel special.
You talking about where on Twitter?
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Well, you ready, homie? You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Cool. What's good, everybody? Welcome to XVPW's Live and Direct. I am the host, the Comeback Kid X. A little update. I just recently had a show yesterday. Last night, XVPW's Best Effin' Show, episode 4. Be sure to check that out. I also believe COH, or you had a show, right?
Yeah. I just had a show last night.
Yeah.
COH had their show this past Saturday and Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. So, what is it? Plug it in, bro. Plug it in. This is it.
So last night, we had our second night of our pay-per-view, Unfiltered Violence for Relentless Pro, which is essentially our version of Extreme Rules, but done better because Extreme Rules nowadays.
Hey, once you involve duct tape, and you tape. Who was it? Who did John Cena duct tape?
Was it Batista?
I think it was Batista. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Batista.
It was like, no, that's not extreme.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, it's essentially our version of Extreme Rules, where every single match on the card is there's no rules. Yeah. There's stipulations, but everything's no disqualification. We had a couple death matches.
Yeah.
And is also home to our elimination chamber as well.
Nice.
So we had 2 nights, which was last Sunday, and this past Sunday, 2-night event, which we've been doing a lot more recently. Since our roster is growing, we want to try to have the talent be able to participate in these big events and not feel left out.
True. All right. Well, they can check that out on Twitch, right? It's funny. You're more active on the Twitch side. I'm more active on the YouTube side. So they can follow, right? They can still follow you. They can still watch the recaps of the shows and shit.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, like on Twitch, it works obviously a bit different than YouTube, very different.
Mm-hmm.
So with Twitch, if so, there's like a little time limit.
Yeah.
You have, I believe, I want to say 14 days until it gets zapped away out of existence. I've
What?
gotten a lot better at
What?
making sure I save the playbacks.
That's a
But
thing?
like, yeah. So like after if you don't, it's called highlight. If you don't highlight the VOD, the video, it just Twitch will permanently delete it unless some people save clips here and there. So I had a habit of not doing it because I didn't know how to do it at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's got to be a way, because I seen like other call owners that they have all their episodes saved. So I was like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And I figured it out. So since then, I've just been trying to save as much as I can. The last Unfiltered Violence, last two actually, don't even exist.
Oh.
It's like, the way how I look at it is like it was so violent that you can't, can't watch it. If you were there, you were there.
You gotta go to in-depths of it. It's funny. When I did XVPW back in 2018 or 2019, it was the first season, and I was on Twitch, and they had this feature, and I don't know if they still got it no more, but let's say you do all your episodes right.
Yeah.
It'll keep re-showing it again and again and again and again.
Oh, the reruns.
The reruns.
Yeah, they still have it. I never used it, but I know some people do. It's still a feature.
It's great. It's freaking great. But then
I never really thought about it.
Yeah, so the way I would time it is the minute it'll like go to episode 6, I'm already live on episode 7 already. So it'll be like perfectly synced and whatnot.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. And not only that, but that's how some people discovered me back then, through Twitch on YouTube, because I was like, but then I believe like for some reason I believe they took it out, or you have to have a certain amount of followers or whatnot. But yeah, it was that, like it was like that, and I'm just like, this is great. And there's actually a guy that I checked out, and his name is on his YouTube channel, because I'm a big comic book fan. His name is Comics Explained, and he's been YouTubing for God knows how long about comic books and stuff like that, Civil War, everything. He had so much freaking videos and whatnot that he decided to make a Twitch, and it'll just rerun everything, like story arcs from back then till now. And I'm just like, this is great. So
are you a Marvel guy, DC guy?
I'm everything. I'm
everything. Respect. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same.
Yeah, I'm everything. Really, I can't pick and choose.
I can't say I'm a super comic guy, but I'm
not a super one too. Like, but I would, because you and I are both producers in HLR, so we need some background noise when we're HLR.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There's always you always got to have something running.
Yeah.
I remember for a whole, I want to say, I believe for like a whole summer last year, I had The Sopranos on, just in the background and just working on Rpro. But it's a good thing to have in the background. It just keeps you focused.
Yeah, same. Like for me, so COVID. I'm gonna tell you a little funny short story. When COVID happened and I was furloughed for like 6 or 7 months, I'm getting paid well, because that COVID check plus your unemployment, whoo, man.
It was him.
Oh man. So I'm editing, right? And that's the most HLR shows I produced, and like every month was an HLR show. It was great.
I mean, I can imagine.
So I was watching, shout out to YouTube and Ring of Honor for this. I binge watched all of Ring of Honor's, like best of CM Punk, best of Nigel McGuinness, right? Then I was binging a bunch of anime. So I never got into Full Metal Alchemist. Well, Full Metal Alchemist, right? All Comics Explained. I was listening to the whole entire Secret Invasion story, truth, and I'm just there, and I'm drinking Starbucks caramel frappuccinos, just getting my sugar rush. Oh, this is great. Yeah,
bro.
That's
COVID was definitely a time period,
yeah, cause fuck 2K20, right? We didn't care about
bro. Oh
2K20.
no, I barely ever touched that game. Fortunately for me, I didn't buy it. I game share with one of my friends. So,
Oh, good for you, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was not spending a dime on that game.
All right, so shout out to everybody watching right now. I see Matt Short is here. We got Domino's Burner, Mimi was good, Cowboy Cat, Jay Willis.
And
So,
Mimi's my biggest hater.
oh, I see.
He's
I
going
s-
crazy in the
yeah,
comments.
man. I see it right now. I hate this man with my entire being. That's what's up. That's what's up. Respect.
I, I don't know what I did.
I don't know, bro. I get that too sometimes. I'm a baby face, so.
You got a couple haters. Oh, look at this.
We got some.
Yoshi Saiba.
Saiba was good. Me, you know what's funny? Me. So I don't know if you noticed, but so me and Saiba have I booked a match, right? And it was originally supposed to be on 2K22, and it's supposed to be a 60-minute Iron Man match with me as X versus Saiba.
Yeah.
And yo, it's been on like halt, and I had to redo it because I love 2K23 more.
I feel you.
So I'm just like, nah. So yeah, it's on the waiting scale. It's pending right now.
I'm in that same boat.
Yeah, like if you want to have a really good match, you got to have a really good game. And 2K20 was not. No, 2K22 was not it.
I know. As you're saying this, Matt Shore is probably giving me the biggest side eye because he got a game over coming up, and I got to work on my stuff for game over, but not just for Madness as well. But I got a couple stuff that I should be working on, but I haven't. I had a whole big event. We can get to that later and talk more about that as we talk about Call.
For sure. So I want to know, when did you get into wrestling?
Wrestling.
You know what? You sound like a guy who's probably my age. So
how old are you?
I am 37.
Really?
Yes, I am 37.
Legit?
It don't look like it. Born in 19.
You look way younger.
I am born.
I thought you were like a good, 24, 25 around.
Nah, man. I was born in 1985. Tax day.
Aging good, man.
Oh man, it's the rice, bro. It's the rice. I'm Filipino.
Filipino?
Yeah, man.
It's in the blood. I'm way younger than that. I'm 26.
Damn, you a baby.
Yeah, man.
So you were a ruthless aggression kid, man. You didn't see the Attitude Era, right?
I know. I actually did see the Attitude Era. The earliest memory I have wrestling. So the way how I got into wrestling, I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say about the earliest memory I have is probably 4 years old.
Okay.
And this
That's
was
common.
like 2000.
Okay.
So where I'm from New York City.
I'm from Jersey.
I lived in
I'm across
Jersey,
the
or
I'm across the water from you, bro.
Right across the bridge.
I'm Jersey City. I'm right across the bridge from you.
My girlfriend lives across the bridge. She's in Patterson.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah,
Jersey,
which is not far. So growing up, I obviously I lived in an apartment building. Above me, my cousins lived at the time. My older cousin, he was a huge wrestling mark. Not anymore. He like phased out of it, but he used to watch a lot of like Raw's War and SmackDown. And sometimes my mom would take me upstairs to hang out with him because my aunt lived upstairs as well. Her aunt. And I would just casually watch with him. And my earliest memory I have was on an episode of SmackDown. And it was when Kurt Angle was King of the Ring.
Oh.
The King of the Ring winner.
Okay.
That's like my earliest vivid memory that I could remember like watching. And like since then I like loved it. I used to play all the SmackDown games with my cousins. First SmackDown. I never owned a wrestling game until like I probably was a bit older.
Yeah.
All the games that I've played were through cousins. during the time I was just playing like a lot of Dragon Ball and Tekken and stuff like that. My first actual wrestling game that I physically owned was WrestleMania 21, but like I played countless hours of like the old SmackDown games with family. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could say I lived through, a good portion of the Attitude Era.
Hmm.
Didn't get to see when it started, but definitely you could really say, yeah, I'm a ruthless aggression kid. That's
Hmm.
when I was really, I guess understanding what wrestling is and who's on my screen and who's who. I do though, as a kid, I hated Edge.
Really?
Edge,
Ah, why?
and because he was an asshole.
Aw.
But what's funny enough is like I loved Christian, and I remember loving Christian because he had my name. I hated Edge, loved Christian. And I got to meet him. It was like one of the coolest experiences in my life. I
Yeah.
met him at a Comic-Con
Oh, nice.
years ago,
New York City
2 years
Comic
ago.
Con.
So, yeah, like a few years in New
Oh,
York City
okay.
Comic-Con. It was him, Sting, Lita, Trish, a few other people. I think Jerry Lawler. And I see Christian. I was like, my name's Christian. He was like, yeah. You want a 5-second pose? I was like, what? Of course. What? That's awesome.
That's
Uh,
great.
but yeah, he
The
was like my first favorite wrestler,
the
just because his name
it's
was
Christian.
Christian.
The
Uh,
first wrestler I saw, and this is probably the most funniest story. I don't think I never told this to anybody. But again, it was so my uncle was basically the senator of the Philippines, and every year he
okay.
would come down to New York City for like an embassy, and he'll hold like they'll do like a talk and all that stuff. So they were doing an event on Madison Square Garden, and the same hotel where my uncle stayed at, and he never changes hotels, was Intercon Hotel.
Hmm.
And so I would go there with my dad and whatnot because he's a diplomat, and he will talk to my uncle and all that stuff. So he had dinner at the Intercon Hotel. I was there. I never spent so much money. Well back then I didn't spend money. Whatever, I was a kid, but
Yeah.
yeah, think of like a $100 steak with mashed potatoes. Like that's how expensive it is in this freaking hotel. So I went to the bathroom. I told my dad, "Hey, Dad, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick." The bar was playing like Raw or something. Next thing you know, I'm in the bathroom. This guy comes in with fucking like short shorts and a fucking like a t-shirt, and I'm pissing, right? And this guy's tall. This guy's tall. I'm probably like 5'3" or 5'4" at the time. I look up, so I always saw it like just t-shirt. He's pissing right to the following stall next to me.
Yeah.
I'm washing my hands, right? And I'm looking at the mirror, and all I saw is like, holy shit. I'm like, and he sees me. He sees me staring at him, and like, you're stone cold. He's like, yeah, and don't you forget it, and stuff like that. And he walks off, and
That's so fire.
and I told my dad, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because my dad
I
was the
wish
one.
I could be Stone
Yeah,
Cold.
my dad was the one who got me into wrestling because he was playing on Saturdays and whatnot. So I would just be there with my toys and whatnot. He was a big Hacksaw Jim Duggan fan, so he would just scream "Ho!" all that shit. But he was the one that got me into wrestling. But I was more of an Attitude Era kid because I grew up during that time.
Yeah.
But it was
I love The Rock.
Oh, you
That
love
was
The
another.
Rock?
Yeah, and that's because well, he was just funny as hell, but
Yeah.
one of my uncles looked exactly like The Rock. So he always reminded me of my uncle, and he was like jacked and shit. And we used to
Yeah.
tell him like he was like, do the people's eyebrow. He would just do it. It's like, I want one more time, I'll do it. Like he looked identical to The Rock.
That's
So I
what's
kind of
up.
had that connection. It's like I feel like I'm watching a family member right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, the Attitude Era was special.
That's what's up. Who's your top five? Do you have a top
My
five?
top five, I feel like it's always rotating, but mine, I can give you my number one. I'm always dead set on my number one, and
Okay, who's your
it's
number
always
one?
have been Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
I've
I
always
say that.
been like, it's just he's to me, I consider him the greatest wrestler of all time simply because of how entertaining he is. Not just like in the ring, but outside the ring from the
Yeah.
promos, and he can really sell a story well. And I love one of my favorite stories from him is him and Chris Jericho in 2008.
Oh, like
Like,
who's the better? I can be
yeah,
yeah.
like I remember, I was still in, I want to say, what was I in 08, like 12, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
like I still, like I knew it wasn't, quote unquote real, but like that storyline was like it was really good. And when like he smashed his head into the highlight reel TV, I was like, oh shit. I was so pissed. I hated Chris, and I love Chris Jericho, but I hated him during that time. But yeah, HBK definitely my number one,
Yeah.
and I was sad when he retired. But I was hoping it
Aw.
would be Undertaker, but oh well.
Man, my camera's not focusing on my face. All right.
Um,
There you go. All right.
Definitely got Kurt in my top five.
Ah, he's
Kurt
in.
Angle.
I think he.
Um,
You're saying that you juggle yours. Like after watching a couple of his stuff, like he could probably be my top five too.
he at first he definitely wasn't there, but that was because growing up I never really liked the heels. I was always a babyface guy.
Yeah.
There's very few heels that I liked as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I hated Kurt because he was bald, and he just never shut up.
It's
And
working
but
though. You know what? As a kid, they're doing what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to hate
yeah,
them.
exactly,
So it
exactly.
makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
why I hated Edge.
Yeah.
He pissed me off. But as I got older and I started, getting into TNA. When I discovered TNA, this is when I really was like diving into wrestling and
Yeah.
figure out like, holy shit, there's like another world that's
Yeah.
beyond WWE. Because there was like a certain point I was like, yo, what happened to Kurt Angle? Why is he not on wrestling? WWE no more. So this is when like I was like watching like backyard wrestling on YouTube and some ROH matches and I
Man,
stumbled across TNA. I was like, oh shit, Kurt Angle.
the
He's on
fact that
here.
you
He's on
said
Spike.
YouTube, the fact that you said YouTube makes me feel old. You know how I got into backyard wrestling, bro? And I'm pretty sure whoever's watching this, especially in my age, if you're 30 something, you get into backyard wrestling when you're on LimeWire and you type backyard wrestling. That's how I got into backyard.
Bro,
there was no YouTube back then. There was like nothing. So in order to watch backyard anything wrestling, you just go to LimeWire or BearShare and you type backyard wrestling.
Like, quick question. How many times on LimeWire did you get hit with the Bill Clinton bit?
Oh, I didn't get the Bill Clinton bit, but I can tell you the amount of AIDS I gave to my Dell computer.
Oh man, bro! Every single time because I was always on LimeWire as a kid. I was like, I'm still am a very big music head, so I always just download stuff, and at least a couple times a day there will be like this clip of Bill Clinton apologizing, and I was like, oh my god, here we go. It was to me, it was the original Rick Roll.
It was the original Rick Roll, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, Kurt definitely in my top five. After his TNA run was incredible.
Yeah, he's the one that stopped Samoa Joe's streak. That was that was a cool debut, man.
Bro, I remember that. I was like, yo, whatever this TNA shit is, I need more of it.
Were you a big Motor City Machine Guns fan?
I loved.
That was my group. I didn't care shit about Generation Me or Young Bucks, whatever. I was more of.
I remember when Generation Me debuted.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't like him at first. But yeah, man, there's a lot of people who came out of there.
Oh, of course.
Who else?
So you had so your number one is Sean. Your number two is Kurt. You have three more.
Three more. Honestly, I gotta go with. Like these are like cliche names, but like Austin, another one that I always hate. Bro, like how can you not love Steve Austin?
I'm more of a Rock than an Austin fan.
I mean, I love The Rock too,
but Austin, well, I would say that ECW, if it wasn't for ECW, there wouldn't be an Attitude Era. But Austin started the Attitude Era movement. Like they took he took WWE out of depth basically. So yeah, but
Cold
then
White in the comments.
yeah.
How are you not saying Jeff Jarrett?
But
I
then
don't know. You tell me.
The Rock picked up Austin because Austin, was injured and all that stuff.
Yeah, no,
So
he
the Rock
definitely
picked
he
up.
carried. He
Yeah,
carried.
that's
There was a
why.
lot
Yeah.
of people during that time. When one was down,
Hmm.
it was just it was a different time.
Yeah.
There's I don't feel like they're my personal opinion.
Hmm.
I don't think we may never see like star power to that level in wrestling ever again. Like where
Maybe.
you have Austin, you have The Rock, Taker, Triple H, um, but like even like the mid card guys were like super popular, like
Hmm.
Too Cool. Like I love Scotty 2 Hotties. That was my dude. Uh, Edge and Christian, love him or hate him, they were super over.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Everybody was hungry. Everybody was hungry.
nah, of
That was the
course.
fun. That was the fun part of the Attitude Era. Like everybody was hungry.
But
So
I also think the reason for that, the reason for my take, I say is just there. It wasn't wrestling wasn't oversaturated, so
mm,
you didn't have so many things that you could have watched. So you had WCW, you had
mm,
WWE, but WWF. If you had access to ECW, but WWF was everywhere, so we
yeah.
didn't have YouTube, so you couldn't see all these other indie promotions and
You had to
whatnot. Now you
watch.
can
Yeah.
consume so much more.
Yeah.
There's not really a you know I don't know. I can't really say. I feel like the biggest star, the last biggest star, I honestly feel is John Cena.
Yeah. Yeah. I technically agree with that. Most definitely, it's John Cena. Cause so it's funny because you mentioned like you didn't have access. Like luckily, like my access to watching other stuff outside of WWF was when I used, and I told Matt Short, I was like, I used to work at a video store when I was like 13 or 12. So uh, behind like all the pop culture movies that came out, behind that was a bunch of tapes, and I would watch like Japanese FMW, All Japan Pro Wrestling,
Yeah, yeah.
best best.
I didn't have access to any of that
Yeah.
stuff.
So it was like my blockbuster. you know.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So it was
I wish.
crazy. So I'm telling my friends like, yo, you like Jeff Hardy, but check this guy out. He's like, yo.
I'm
Yeah.
like doing that now with like some family members and friends where they're like, I feel like there's been slowly but surely there's been a resurgence
Mm-hmm.
in wrestling with pop culture.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
Especially when AEW came around and you have like a lot of hip hop artists showing up and stuff like
I
that.
think I think the best time for being if you're getting back into wrestling was the year probably 2012 to 2016 or 17. That was
Mm,
such a great year because you had the NXT, you had Ring
yes,
of Honor still bumping, you had Okada and Omega killing it in
it
New
was
Japan Pro
crazy.
Wrestling. You have Bullet Club taking over the Indies. Like H promotion, especially Indies, was getting
They
their
were
stuff out
booming.
there. They were booming, and you still had the WWE, but you still had NXT.
Yeah,
So it was just like a lot of stuff, just like everything was somewhat connected. You were wondering who's gonna get called up to NXT, who's gonna debut in NXT. You're gonna say, oh, who's somebody's gonna get called to WWE? Is Okada and Omega gonna do something? Like it's just
yeah. I
that.
remember because I didn't start watching like Japan stuff until like around that time period, like I said.
Yeah.
So like I want to say 2012, 2013, around there is when like a couple times on YouTube I was very familiar with Kenta.
Mm-hmm.
Um because I would watch like highlight clips all the time on YouTube, see some Masawa stuff
Yeah.
here and there, just watch like highlight clips of Japanese wrestlers. Um, but I remember finding out about Okada and seeing how like huge he was over there, I was like, holy shit, like who is this dude? And he's like a massive star over there.
Yeah.
And I just dove into more, and I've heard about Kenny Omega through like Ring of Honor, but I've never seen his Japan stuff. And then seeing Bullet Club blowing up, T-shirts everywhere. I remember watching like Prince Devitt and getting into Japan, and then hearing about him going to WWE. I was like, holy shit! Like,
yeah.
And I just started getting into like Prince Devitt matches. Like, oh,
the time I got into NXT was during Neville's and Sami Zayn's rivalry. That's when because all right, behind the scenes, guys, I'm a fucking nerd, so I'm a big tabletop gamer. So
everybody is
like Yu-Gi-Oh is my thing. Like, so me and my friends they would come over to my place. We'll practice because we're going to like regionals and whatnot. But they know that I'm big into wrestling, so they told me to download the WWE Network. He's like, what's so special about the WWE Network? You know, oh, documentaries. Like, yeah, what else? Like, then they told me about NXT. So I'm like, oh, so it's another show? That's what's up. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, yo, this is different.
it was better.
Yeah. So they're talking about, yo, you'll love Neville. And I'm like, yeah, all right. So I'm watching Adrian Neville. He's feuding with Sami Zayn. Like, this guy's fucking great. You know, then ever since then, boom. All right, I got to find out who these guys are. You know, and that's what they technically got me back into wrestling, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could definitely agree with that. There was a certain time where I kind of fizzled out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was still playing the games heavily. Like, I've always played the games. I've loved the games since forever.
Yeah.
But like, I want to say around 2009, between 2009 and 2011 is where I kind of was like not feeling the product in terms of not watching WWE, but like I was just not into wrestling as much. I feel like I wasn't really enjoying TNA as much either during that time. And this is, I kind of guess where like WWE was shifting into the whole PG product. So I wasn't like, I was very used to the hard hitting, edgy WWE.
You didn't like People Power, bro? You don't like
I hated John Laurinaitis. Oh my God.
You
Every time he would come on my TV, I would mute it. Bro. But CM Punk was the one that got me back into it.
Yeah.
The summer of Punk is real.
Yeah.
Whether you hate him or love him now, you cannot deny
it was different.
The summer of Punk was something special.
Yeah.
It was like, and it kept you on the edge of the seat because like when he won the belt at Money in the Bank, I was like, whoa, like we were reading on the dirt sheets that he's done. What's going on right now?
Yeah.
So it was really cool. So yeah, 2011 is when I got back into wrestling.
That's good. That's a good time. There it is. Shit.
Yeah.
That's when you find out about independent wrestling. What the hell is independent wrestling? So like, oh, New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's shouting out people. Like, what the hell? Ring of Honor. All right, Colt Cabana. Like,
bro,
what's this?
It was crazy. I think my first independent, obviously, but the first independent show I've ever watched was ROH.
ROH.
The first match I've ever saw, I believe, was Chris Hero and Punk.
Okay.
And ever since then, I was like, yo, there's got to be more like this.
Yeah.
Stumble across like CCW here and there for like the hardcore matches.
Are you aware of the application Tubi?
I've heard of Tubi. I've never got on it, seen it. But I hear funny things about it though.
So one, it's free, okay?
Because
you're gonna watch ads. But if you, I don't think if you register, there's no ads. But fun fact, if you really like old school CZW and all the shit, and all this stuff like that, Tubi has it all.
All for free?
For free.
That's dope.
If you're into Power Rangers and shit like that, Super Sentai, the Japanese versions of it, Tubi has it all.
I gotta check it out. I always hear about Tubi, but sometimes I hear about memes because it'd be like some funny, pretty low budget movie.
There are low budget movies, but also if you're big into martial arts, like old school martial arts, all of it. Ombak 2, Ombak 1. That's the go-to spot because Netflix has nothing but a bunch of Korean drama, and Korean stuff.
Yeah.
But Tubi has all of CZ, best of Joey Janela CZW, best of MJH CZW, CM Punk. If you want old school CM Punk, Chris Hero, 1 hour matches in independent halls. Tubi has
fine.
it all.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Nah, I definitely gotta check it out. Tubi
Like,
out here
Tubi has
the good shit.
Yeah, because Tubi's independent shit. Think about it. Independence. Like Tony Khan got the ROH shit under control, but CZW, all those stuff, all these promotions, documentaries, Tubi has it.
I definitely gotta check that out.
Yeah, man.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, when did you get into Caw?
So Caw. I guess we gotta start with when I started getting into like actually creating wrestling.
Yeah. Well, so what is like No Mercy? No, you didn't play No Mercy.
I did play No Mercy. I didn't own No Mercy.
Okay.
But I did play it. The first time that I feel like I can say that I really got into like creating wrestlers was, I want to say, SmackDown versus Raw.
Okay, which one?
And I was just spent like hours just creating a bunch of wrestlers, and like me and my cousins, we will make our tag teams and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I there was a little time period where, for whatever reason, I really like my character was always made after me, so I always gave him my name,
Chris something.
Christian. It was just straight. It was just my name, Christian.
Okay.
But I had the nickname The Natural Christian.
The Natural Christian.
Then later on, it became Christian Kai.
Like Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Nah, actually, it is from Dragon Ball, but I got it from Supreme Kai.
Okay, Supreme Kai. That's what's up.
Yeah. So, yeah, first SmackDown vs. Raw. This is when I was really getting into it. Then, like 06, 07, I stumbled across Cause.ws. And I remember just like, if my printer didn't have ink, I was just writing formulas down by hand, recreating wrestlers that wasn't in the game, like AJ Styles, for example. Or I remember, like, there was a time period where everybody was making Brock because he had just left. And Goldberg was everywhere. And since then, when Paint Tool got introduced, and I believe was 2010, SVR, I've always been, I wouldn't consider myself an artiste, but I've always loved art, and I'm a sketcher. I'm not the greatest. I'm into art. I don't do it. Yeah. I don't do it as often as I used to, but I used to sketch a lot, and I just found myself spending hours on Paint Tool, and I've done it so much to the point where, like, I wish I still had like photos of what I would make on Paint Tool, because it was some of the like most dope shit, that to the point where I wish they brought back Paint Tool, because I feel like there's some things you could do on Paint Tool that I mean, you can always do whatever you want with Photoshop and stuff like that, but there's something about Paint Tool. It was special to me.
It's your comfort zone.
And I'll make these dope ass tights, kick pads, tattoos, upload them. They'll have a lot of downloads on CC. I would make
also SmackDown versus Raw had that. It's funny I didn't have that.
2010 had that.
Yeah.
Paint Tool. They stopped Paint Tool, I believe, 2K15. That's when they removed it, and then they brought in the importing stuff. So that's like my real start, is when I started going out of the realm of actually creating a wrestler and just creating logos and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I got into my first Fed in it's a bit of a blur which game it was, but it's between 13 or 14, where I don't necessarily remember how I was approached, but it was a comp Fed. I don't remember the name, but I don't know if they were the owner, but they were a part of this Fed. His name is Dashing. Everybody know him in the Twitter side, he runs an eFed called CMV.
Okay.
He's been in the community for a very long time. Very cool dude, very humble. And I
Mm.
always give him a shout out when I can. It's like I always
Respect.
say he's like the guy who kind of like broke me into ball. I always give him, that.
I respect that.
And I was in Matsuda. It was like an IRL fed. So they
They
give
cut.
you like an IRL wrestler who you could use. And I don't know if I could say who I used on here. But there's a certain wrestler that now he's now like Voldemort nowadays.
Okay.
I'll not be named. You probably get an idea who I'm probably talking about.
Yeah.
He did a certain move that involved diving headbutt.
Okay.
So I used him in this confed, but I also used Scott Steiner.
Okay.
That I had fun with. And it was a forum, it was a website. So we did promos on there.
Forums. I love forums.
And CMV, I believe they still do that to this day. I think they still have a forum up. But I was only in there for like a year or so. Then I kind of fizzled out of it because of school. I was in high school at the time.
Oh shit.
So
Okay.
I was in high school. I was playing football, so I didn't really have that much time to like invest in any of that.
Yeah.
After high school is when I got back into call. I was never I never had intentions to get into call.
Mm.
I was approached by somebody on community creations. This dude, he DM'd me. He saw my call, Matsuda Tanaka, who was just a side call. It's like I always enjoyed just creating universes, and I had like a brand called NCW, it was National Championship Wrestling.
Wait, so did you make a social?
No.
No,
I wasn't on
you didn't
social
make it.
media, none of that. It was just,
Yeah.
for fun.
So just on community creations.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
there was I would have little, streams here and there, but like there was no promotion for it. It was just like click stream and go up,
Yeah.
It was just for like me and my friends.
Yeah. Of course.
And Matsuda Tanaka was a very popular call on CC. Like people really loved it. It had like over 1,000 downloads. So, oh shit, that's cool. Like,
right.
He had like the big hair, the Sami Callihan hair that when he was in NXT, it was like, oh wow, that's the vintage signature Tanaka hair.
Yeah.
But what I did was like I had like a curve that split it in half, hair dye. It's like one side was orange, the other side was black. He looked like a little anime character, but with a mixture of Okada.
Okay.
He was heavily inspired by Okada.
I bet, yeah.
To the point where his face texture was Okada. All
right.
But so this dude hits me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to join my Fed?" I'm like, "Sure, okay." I haven't done this in a while, but I've never done this with an actual call. It was just like IRL wrestlers.
Yeah.
So it was like an eFed / primarily it was an eFed, but they did some pure sim stuff.
That's cool.
They were called NCW. Had a bit of a falling out. But that's like kind of where I came back into call. But I never knew that there was such thing as a Twitter call. They were from Twitter. And they're the ones that introduced me to Twitter call.
What year was this?
This was this is the end of 2017, so 2K18.
Okay. Yeah, 2K18 was like, because there was 2K19 that unlocked a lot of stuff. But 2K18 was like, oh man, we're getting there. yeah, that makes sense.
So he hits me up. So you want to be a part of my Fed? I was like, yeah, sure. Do a couple matches, and he loved my call so much that he booked me to the moon. And this is where like I was getting my taste of call drama, but like I never paid attention to it. Like I thought it was just like, why people like upset that I'm being booked to the World Championship?
Oh man, that's great.
And like apparently people didn't like it. It was like, yo, this guy never been in call. You're already putting the strap on him. I was like, and I'm like, I didn't ask for it. Dude just loves my call. But I reconnected that same year with Dashing. This is going back to the owner of CMV, where he DM'd me on Twitter. He saw my call, and he was like, "Hey, you want to join my Fed?" And I was like, yeah, sure. And I see that. I see his name on his Twitch. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I think I know this dude. And I think I asked what's his gamer tag. He told me his gamer tag. I was like, oh shit, like you remember me? I was thou shall not be named in your comp fed. He's like, oh shit. It was like a little cool moment because we hadn't like spoken literally
Oh.
years. Um so I was doing that E-Fed, and I believe like guys like Maury was a part of CMV as well. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really speak with Maury like that, but he was pretty sure he was a part of the Fed during the time that I came in
How
when
were
he
you
was
guys
like,
talking? Was it through social
uh,
media now or no?
yeah, this is all on Twitter. But I didn't really like have that kind of relationship with him. I just knew of him. This was like when he was starting to really get into
So did you
HLR
create?
stuff.
So did you create a Matsuda Tanaka Twitter, or you're still using
Yeah,
your person?
yeah. I
Oh.
created Tanaka Twitter. I remember my first pick was like Tanaka. He's like um in the middle of the stage. I
Yeah.
believe it was a Finn Balor entrance.
Yeah.
He had his arms out. It was like this very dark and red light hitting him.
So this was
And
2017 or 2018.
2017, like this, I believe December 2017
How
is
did
when
it
I made.
how did it feel creating a Matsuda Tanaka
Um,
Twitter for the first
it's
time?
it's weird. Like I didn't really think much of it.
Yeah.
Um, like I remember seeing all these. I thought it was cool at first. Well,
Yeah.
it is cool,
It is.
but like when it, in a sense, where what I'm trying to get at is like I didn't know that there was this many people that do what I
Yeah.
do. So
Same.
oh shit, it's like a whole community that loves to create.
Yeah.
And I was posting all my creations that because I my stepdad at the time he sometimes would see the stuff I did on the WWE game. He's like, why you never like do a YouTube or something? I was like, I don't know. Just I don't even know how to even start that. So
Yeah.
like a couple years, fast forward, discovering this community, I was like, oh shit, like maybe this is something I could do. Um, Seeing all these people, and then like I'll post stuff about Matsuda, and then a lot of people like really liked how he looked,
Mhm.
and I would get DMs here and there, but I never really paid any mind to it because like
Mhm.
I was still very fresh in call, so to say, or call Twitter. So
Yeah.
like I didn't really know how to interact with people, and I was like, I didn't really have a circle or like friends.
Mhm.
So that's part of the reason why I had left call. 'Cause there was a time where I did leave for like about 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, and also I was working and going to school, so I was like, like I got things to focus on right
Got
now.
in real life stuff,
Yeah.
technically, right?
Um,
The in real life
so
thing.
like I just fell off the face of the earth for like almost 2 years, and then the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
and I'm at home. I was like, sometimes I'll check in here and there between those years I was away, but like I'll post like one picture and then disappear again. Um, but during that time, like people hit me up wanting to sign me, and I just never really paid any mind to it because I knew that I wasn't gonna invest my time into it, so I didn't want to, fulfill any promises,
Mhm.
anything like that. So fast forward, pandemic, stuck at home, just got fired because everyone was getting laid off.
Yeah.
Um, I was sick of playing Call of Duty Warzone. Warzone had dropped during the pandemic.
Yeah, it
Very
did.
strategic marketing of Activision.
Shit,
Um,
I was like begging for Cyberpunk to come out, and
oh man, I was let down.
I was let down. So many podcasts advertising this damn game.
Bro, I was so hyped for that
Who was not hyped for Cyberpunk,
because
bro?
I love games like that. Like I'm a
Yeah,
big like Skyrim Fallout dude, so
yeah. I
I was
was
very hyped for Cyberpunk,
20 different podcasts that I listened to
bro.
advertising Cyberpunk. And it brought out, and I'm like, oh my god, I never thought that it would be on console and it would just be this bad.
I was so sad. I didn't, and still to this day, I haven't really played it, but people
No,
say like it's gotten so much better. But
I don't trust them no more.
it's nowadays it's kind of hard for me to sit down and play video games as much because of how much I'm involved with call and I'm always working on
Okay,
stuff.
you ever did one of those things where like I could be playing so many games right now, but I have
Yes,
this show to fucking
yes.
produce.
You know how many times that like
Yeah.
I'm here producing and I'm like, bro, I just want to like I just want to, I've been getting into emulating, and
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of like old PS2 games. I was like, I'm gonna put this down and play Def Jam right now because I'm sick of call. And then an hour later, I gotta do this
I
show.
gotta do the show. Yeah, yeah.
But
Yo, when there was a time when I stopped and I re-downloaded like Tekken, and I'm like, do I still have it? Oh, I can still, I still remember the combos in my head. Yes.
I love fighting games.
Then I remember I played the Ninja Turtle game.
Which one?
It's the Shredder's Revenge, something like that. The new one. Not.
Oh, a new one.
Not new, but it is new, but it's the one where you play as Casey and April and the Turtles, because they brought it back to the old ways. It's that one. I think it's Shredder's Revenge. I could be wrong, but it is.
The last game I played was during it was PS2 days.
Yeah.
This was during when the cartoon was out.
Okay.
On what was that on Fox? WB Kids.
Let me see. I'm gonna Google it right now. But it is. I think it is called Shredder's Revenge, and I had so much fun because it's a game that, like, yes, it's not competitive. It's fun. It takes my mind off Caw.
Bro.
Like, boom. I was like, that's what I need right now.
People love to be competitive, man. Sometimes you just gotta enjoy everything. That's why, like, I stopped playing Warzone for a bit because I had my group of friends. We would always play Warzone, but it got so competitive to the point where, like, we'll be yelling at each other, cursing each other out, getting into little arguments.
Oh,
and it was at a point where I felt like I was gonna fight one of my friends. I was like, you know what? I gotta put the sticks down.
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on in Call Twitter.
Yeah.
So I want to say August of 2020 is when I came back. I believe so.
That's not bad. Okay.
Came back, and I got a DM from a call. His name is Jaquan Shea. He was like a CMV rival of mine, and we never really had that blow off that we wanted. And he was like, "Yo, you should come back to CMV." And I was like, "You know what? I'm bored at home. Sure, why not?" So I hit up Dashing. We try to set something up, but it never really happened in CMV. I did come back to CMV. I was doing a couple matches there.
What's CMV? What's the acronyms for that?
It's Community Universe. That's the acronym for CMV.
Okay.
They have God knows how many episodes. A lot. I'll be surprised, or not surprised, if they hit 1,000. But they've been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I was doing CMV, and then I get told about Rpro.
Oh, okay.
Jaquan Shea was like, "I'm in this Fed. You should join." I was like, "Rpro, okay." And at the time, Rpro, it wasn't what it is now. And I was just a roster member. I hit them up. It's like, "Hey, I'm interested in joining. I want to face this guy that we never got to do this rivalry. Be cool if I come in and join." I believe the same day, they were like, "Yeah, sure, we'll sign you." At first, they were very hesitant because they thought I was just some side call account because how inactive my account was.
Oh, okay.
And what's funny is they hit me up in the past when I first joined to join their previous Fed, which was called GTW.
Okay.
The owner there had stopped doing call for a bit, and then people, brought him back in. So he created Rpro. But Rpro was named by Bill Dern. Shout out Bill Dern, who was the current 4-count champion. He had a match last night on Unfiltered Violence facing TJ Streets. Bill Dern is the I want to say the original production guy. When I came into production for Rpro, he wasn't there anymore. He had just left and focusing on his fed called Ammo, which is a part of 4 Count as well. Ammo Wrestling. It's a promotion where it's solely for side calls. That's
Okay.
literally like they don't want main calls. It's like you got side calls, bring the Ammo. It's very. I love Ammo.
Yeah.
It's such a. It's a gem, and the titles of their events are like some of the most clever shit ever. Like they have what my favorite um pay-per-view that they had is called, well, the name is called Turtleneck and Chain Wrestling. And the logo is like a silhouette of the Rock and a chain around it, but you don't see his face. It's mad funny.
That's funny.
It's just nothing but bits. But so Bill, he had left production, so the owner at the time, he was looking for somebody to help with that. It's like they put out a tweet. They were like, "Hey, we're looking for somebody who can help us make belts and logos and things like that." And I remember when I first got into call, I really wanted to do stuff like that because I never helped out a show. So I was like, I've always done calls. I would like to, work on a show.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of learning Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
So I felt like, this could be a way where I can really step up my game in Photoshop and see how far I can go with it. And I was like, I hit him up. I was like, yo, I've never done any of this, but I feel like if you give me a chance, I can make some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they took a chance with me. They brought me into their management team. I made them a couple belts. Now looking back, those belts suck, but there's one that still remains, and that is the International Championship. People love it so much that they don't want me to change it.
Oh, that's what's up.
But at the time, it was cool stuff. Like I made my first ever match cards for them, and very low key Rpro.
So you didn't learn at a school for Photoshop.
All self taught.
You just all self taught. I respect that.
One of my friends, IRL friends, he was like, hey, like he was going to an IT school, and they gave all the students like codes to Adobe Photoshop. He's like, hey, you want this code for Photoshop? And I was like, fuck it, why not? Sure.
Yeah.
Played with it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I would just watch mad videos and how to use and stuff like that. And this was pre-pandemic, so I was using Photoshop. I want to say I started using it around 2017.
Okay.
And when I got back into call, I was a little above average. I had some stuff that I knew, so I was able to make a match card and not be, as amateurish as it could be. It was actually pretty decent looking for a first one. My first show I've ever created a card for is called the Champion's Path. I'll send it to you on Twitter if I ever find it, so you can see the card itself. But I made that, and people liked it. It was like, oh, this is dope. And so I kept making cards for them, and then I started to get into video editing. And like Rpro, since I joined Rpro, they were doing about 6-10 viewers weekly. That was their consistent viewership. But as the production got better, and better, as I was getting better with it, the viewers started to come in pretty quickly on Twitch. People were wondering, what the fuck is Rpro? Who are these guys? Some people know of Rpro because the calls in them have been in places like COH and other feds. But it was very low key, and I was very low key. Not a lot of people know who I was.
Yeah.
If you knew who I was, that's because you knew who I was back in 2017. But between those years, I was MIA. So yeah, of course, nobody's really gonna know who Matsuda Tanaka is. So I pretty much kind of came out of left field with all the graphic work, and it just kind of started blowing up. The owner at the time, when I first came in, he was talking about shutting down Rpro. And he was like, oh, if the viewers don't go up by December, I think I'm gonna just shut it down. And this was in October. Then we had our show called Battle of the Relentless, which is our big tournament pay-per-view, where we build up to this tournament. The winner gets a shot at the world title, and we did like 20 something, 30 something viewers. Okay, like this is something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty decent for a call show. So it just started to like consistently be around that number. So I was like, why shut it down now? Like people is actually tuning in.
Yeah, that's
And the
true.
production just kept increasing. I kept wanting to learn different ways how to make match cards. Like I'm always my biggest competitor.
We all
Like
are. We all
I
are.
I had this conversation. I'm gonna give a shout out to Eden. She's a call that's on Twitter side, and she's also in Rpro, a couple other places where I was having this conversation with her, and I was telling her, it's like, yo, like she was trying to like give me a pep talk, like, yo, like why are you so hard on yourself sometimes? Because I find myself sometimes at a creative block where I feel like I have to up myself every event. Like I always think, like, how can I outdo this graphic that I did for the last one?
You know what? And you know what's funny? That's how I am when I do these HLR matches, especially as my call.
I used to be like that.
Like I'm like I have to outdo this last match. If I don't,
I
if I don't feel it, then like I'm not gonna do it. You know. But there's times where like, oh, this promotion needs it done at this specific time. I'm like, all right, let me do my best. But I have to outdo it. If I can't, then like, all right, it's not that great. Many people probably think, yo, that's the hottest match ever. But you know when you could have done better. And that's how I am.
I used to be like that with HLR until I want to say last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get into how I got into HLR.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, obviously it started with Rpro. My first, and this was very early as well. Like my first, like really getting into HLR, I was doing segments here and there. My first HLR match never saw the day, never saw light of day, and I
That
thank
sucks.
God. It was horrible. It was supposed to be for a pay-per-view called For the Love of War. It was a
Yeah.
triple threat ladder match, and this is my. It's like that. That's what that was my first mistake. I wasn't doing a singles match. It was like, let me HLR a triple threat ladder match.
You went balls to the
And I
wall,
only
huh?
had 2 controls at the time. Um,
That's not
I
bad.
guess
That's not bad. I seen
it,
people
it
pull it off with 2 controllers.
and I've done it now. Nowadays I got more controllers now, but I guess because like people are liking my segments and promos, I kind of was like feeling myself a little bit. And I was like, yeah, let me do this match. Oh my God, bro. I think I still have some clips of it.
Yeah.
It unfortunately never got, well, fortunately, it never aired.
2K19 already?
2K19, yeah.
Yeah.
2K19. It was between Ryan Romero, Sunshine Kid, and Jordan Nicholson.
Oh, Sunshine Kid. That's the guy from SWW Coalition.
Is he an SW?
I
I
think
don't know.
so.
I haven't really kept
Yeah.
up much with him anymore.
Yeah.
His call is Alaric. That's his
Yeah. He has a
they're the
fro,
same.
right? He has a fro and all that stuff.
He has blonde hair. I don't know
Okay.
if he has a fro nowadays, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he's still rocking it. Unless we're thinking about somebody else. Could be
Maybe
different
because
people.
that's because the only Sunshine Kid I know is from Coalition.
Yeah, because he doesn't go by the guy I'm talking about doesn't go by Sunshine Kid
Okay.
anymore. So whoever you may be talking about is probably a different dude.
Yeah.
But like the way this match was recorded, it was like none of it made sense. There was camera. I used a lot of camera cuts to hide all the bullshit. You had like 1 second they're on the ladder.
Yeah.
The next second you got a camera cut. They're at another side of the ring that you don't even know how they got there. It was just all over the place.
That's great.
And I was just like, yo, let me put all these high spots. Let me put them jumping off ladders and doing a springboard drop kick. while they're hanging on the title because spots. People love spots.
People
That
love
that
it.
was my mindset at the time. But
Yeah.
I never watched an HLR match, so
Oh,
I'm
so you
just
didn't see
I don't
nothing yet. You just
know.
oh, alright.
So I'm just doing this off my imagination without having any actual experience
Mm-hmm.
of watching an HLR match, and never aired. So after that, I want to say my real first match that actually aired was at which this past pay-per-view, Unfiltered Violence.
Yeah.
And the first one ever. It was against JT Fury. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. Well, it was a street fight, 51-50 street fight, which is
Mm-hmm.
our version of a 2 out of 3 falls street fight.
Okay.
It was for the Rpro World Championship. I was the champion at the time,
Yeah.
and I consider this my first ever World Championship. It was fully HLR, and I wouldn't say it was terrible, but now looking back, it was pretty bad. Solely for the fact that the angles was like overhead shots, majority of the match or whatnot. But you always got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But people loved it because, mind you, our pro at the time was just essentially an EFED.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you wasn't really seeing a lot of HLR stuff matches on EFED show. So I always say the EFED community is always appreciated when you go out
Yeah.
and
When you do an
put this
HLR match
amount
for
of
'em.
effort to
Yeah.
put it on a show because we're used to seeing EFED matches, so anything outside of that is like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and this was still very early in our pro. This was like 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2021. So I was still pretty like fresh, but like a lot of people was like starting to get to know who I was and really enjoying my stuff, and they were becoming fans of my work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so people would look forward to what I would do next. So the infamous spot in that match was just like a frog splash off a ladder, and it was like people was like both tweeting it. It's like, oh, this is really dope. It was like off a ladder, off a stage, really simple stuff at the time, but like during that time,
During
it
the
was pretty
yeah,
cool.
and
Like
especially in
I said,
2K19. Yeah.
yeah, at the
Yeah.
time, like you wasn't really seeing that stuff in EFED.
Yeah.
So in the graphics, this is when I started really getting to making video graphics for Rpro. And people was really attached when getting attracted to Rpro because of the presentation,
Mm-hmm.
how I presented it. And I would put a lot of effort into making sure that these shows look nice to look at.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed making graphics. And people, I noticed a bit of a trend, and I don't at a time I wasn't really giving myself credit, but at a certain point I was like, you know what, why not? Sometimes I gotta give myself a pat on the back, and not always be so hard
Yeah.
on myself. And I noticed like people were, you know, getting better at their stuff, like upping their graphics up, like making these match cards and stuff like that. And like I've had a couple people that told me, it was like, yo, you put the battery in my back. Like I've never seen people, somebody do this for like a EFED show. Like I want to
Yeah.
make my show look as presentable. So like people watching Rpro's production, the graphics made them want to dabble into stuff like that as well. Like Amber Reed, big shout out to Amber Reed, who's blowing up on Twitter right now. I'm really proud of how like good she has gotten with HLR. She always used to come with me to ask advice and stuff like that, and
That's respect.
she's very she's a very nice person, a very nice person. So I enjoy seeing the amount of like appreciation and love that she's getting right now. She had like a very amazing match at Summer Series with COH. Highly recommend watching the playback for that. With Ali Page. But yeah, like I remember she would tell me, it's like, yo, it's like, how you do this on Photoshop? Like, I want to, make good shit like this too. It's like try to give people advice. Ryan Swift even uh told me himself. And Ryan Swift is he's one of the owners of COH.
Mm-hmm.
He does all their graphics, and he told me, he's like, yo, I upped my shit because of you. And there was a certain point where there's like I call it a secret war. Um and we had a joint show called Secret Wars, and behind that is because, and I named the show because I felt like it was at a certain point where there was kind of like this secret war between Rpro and COH. Not really with me. I love
Mm-hmm.
COH. I was a part of COH during the
Yeah.
time where the old owner was running Rpro, but the old owner did not like COH
Okay.
because of whatever happened between him and them when he was there.
Mm.
You know, drama and all that stuff.
Gotta love
Um,
it. Gotta love it.
So he would try to purposely, you know, fuck with COH,
Mm.
try to promote while they're promoting, or even go live while they're going live. And in my mind, I'm like,
That's not
what is
cool.
the purpose in that?
Yeah.
First of all, like, we're small time streamers. Let's be real.
Yeah.
What is the end goal of this?
Yeah.
So uh, we were kind of like very competitive with each other. And Swift was like, I had to up my shit because of how good your shit was. And when I was getting a lot of those same type of comments from people from different feds, like, yo, your shit was fire. It's like, you made me, you put the battery in my back. It was like very like, it was an eye opener for me. It's like, oh, like people really enjoy my stuff.
Yeah.
I think the biggest eye opener for me is when I debuted it in COH. Because I really didn't know how much people knew of me. And like COH is technically, they're not, I don't consider them an EFED nowadays, but during the time they were like kind of the biggest EFED on call Twitter.
Mm.
And they have their big, mania shows called WrestleCade. And I made my debut 2021 in WrestleCade 8. And
That was
I
not too long
debuted it.
ago. Shit.
Yeah. I remember I made an edit of like Tanaka before the show. He's like sitting on a plane. And I remember somebody comment, I believe it was Crude. He was like, "Where's Tanaka going?" But like nobody had no idea that I was debuting on the show. And
Little
they had this,
teaser.
yeah, it was a little teaser.
That's
And
cool.
this was right after WrestleFest. So like I was picking a lot of steam up. WrestleFest is Arpro's big show. And I had semi-simmed the main event. But had some cool little spots that people liked and whatnot, and people were like DMing me. It's like, "Oh, this shit was fire." Yo, you want to join my Fed? It was like, "Oh, like where's all these DMs?" Like my following went up by like 50 that night.
Yeah.
So I had approached COH. Psycho G was the one that told me to join COH. He was like, "Yo, why are you not in COH? You should join." And I was very kind of like standoffish.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first joined Call, the owner of the Fed I was in, he didn't like COH because of his beef.
Yeah.
And his beef was his own doing. Like he was the owner of NCW, which was the original Fed I was a part of, was he was not a very cool dude. So like he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the COH, and I would hear all this stuff about COH from him because I was in his Fed. So I never
Yeah.
really had a good picture. But I never spoke with any of them. Like I never spoke with Lions, so I didn't really have a negative opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always told negative stuff because of his experience. And G was like, "Yo, you should join. You should join." I was like, "You know what? I never dealt with COH. What could happen? You know?" In my mind, I was like, "Oh, I was a part of NCW. They probably don't like me because of that." But nah, I DM'd them, and like a minute later, they DM'd me straight away. It was like, "What the hell? Okay, this is cool." Because people always told me like, "Oh, COH is hard to get in," and I get a response really fast. I'm like, "Whoa, like okay."
Yeah.
Which apparently Carter Blackwell was the one that really wanted me to be a part of the show. Carter Blackwell, I don't know if you familiar with Carter Blackwell?
So I only know a small bunch of Twitter calls because I'm
Gotcha.
mostly I started on the Facebook side. Then because when I made XVPW, I already had the IG, the Twitter, and originally the Facebook, right? Then from there, I discovered a lot of because similar to you, I thought I was being original, right? Then I was like, oh, I aired my show and I found out there's a big community behind this. I got discovered by a guy named Cash from Facebook. He brought me into these private groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's how people have their promotions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was thanks to thanks to Cash, I discovered about the Facebook side of CAW. Then originally, when I made XVPW, like I said, I made the social media account, so I would just post whatever on Twitter and on IG. From there, I discovered people like Namo, Kirby. I learned those guys from watching on YouTube, but not on Facebook. Then from there, I would see their descriptions, and I discovered people like Malachi and all those guys on Twitter. Then a guy from Facebook brought me into the Instagram scene, so I'm more active on the Instagram than I am on the Twitter. It's thanks to I discovered Matt Short, owner of Madness, that I discovered you and 4Count. Because I believe there was a clip that Matt had that was going viral. And from there, I discovered you from the infamous drop kick to the light tube spot. I was like, what the hell is this? This is great.
Yeah, man. I remember that blowing up.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And that was not too long ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago. It was like
2 years? A year ago? Must be a year ago. Because I discovered 4Count a year ago. Yeah.
A little over a year ago.
Yeah.
This was for COH.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like Matt Short, I remember he had DM'd me. He wanted me to be a part of an episode on Madness, and I wasn't very familiar with a lot of like HLR shows, and I haven't really, I wasn't very familiar with Madness, so I went to approach Psycho G about it. I was like, hey, like, this guy named Matt Short, he approached me, wanted me to be on his show, like, are you familiar with him? He was like, yeah. He's a really cool dude. So I was checking out the episodes. I was like, oh shit, like this is cool.
Yeah.
Having explosions going off, and I was like, whoa, what is this? I was like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
And just watching Madness, seeing Matt's work really like inspired me to, up my game and do more. And I had done like hardcore matches, but I've never to that extreme.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I want to do something like
what XVPW was known for was in real life stuff than CAW. Like, I would put myself behind a green screen in a ring, dressed as a CAW, which is me, Then me and my friends would do in real life segments, like live promos. Sometimes we'll go to an indie show and try to get a certain wrestler to be part of the show in CAW, because there's only a few people who know about CAW in the wrestling scene, but it's not blowing up as, because I don't know if people know that there's a big community behind this. So that was always my goal. It's like, okay, how can we stand out from these other EFED style promotions?
Yeah.
Because clearly they're doing like live promos and whatnot, but my production was somewhat of the better. Like you said that, hey, your match cards are this and that. That was similar to me saying, we gotta up our fucking production. I'm gonna get a DSLR camera. How can we stand out? Let's put ourselves in the game. How can we do that? I gotta learn how to green screen.
That's all it's about, man. Just trying to find out how to stand out. And that's always like my mindset. Whereas like, I don't want to look apart. I want to figure out how can I make this stand out. And like with the light tube spot, I remember approaching Matt about it. Like I wanted to get his approval. I was like, "Yo, is this shit cool?"
Yeah.
Like, yo, that shit's dope. I was like, "Oh, all right, cool. I'm gonna put it in."
I gotta
Matt
say,
liked it.
Matt was the one. I mean, there was a guy, and I think it was me and Matt talked about this. A guy named Ray Geddes, who really got into the whole green screen type effects. It's called Geddes Wrestling Federation. I fucking had to look back on my old interviews that I did, and when I interviewed him, like he was really into that. Then I told Matt about it. He knew about Ray Geddes. But if anything, Matt, I can definitely credit that he legit brought that whole deathmatch style to the call community, because I've never seen anybody.
Not for real.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else, unless somebody
On,
wants to correct me right now.
So
yeah,
not necessarily correct you.
yeah,
I do feel that Matt definitely made it like popular.
yeah.
Like a lot of people got into deathmatch wrestling and call because of how good Matt Short shit was and is today.
Yeah.
On the EFED side of things, a lot of people wasn't very familiar with HLR stuff. Obviously, there was always different sectors. Everyone had their own little side.
Yeah.
So sometimes you wouldn't really see the HLR stuff. And Madness was at the time a PlayStation fed. So like Xbox, PlayStation, that little weird beef going on. Xbox and PlayStation didn't really fuck with each other.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So like a lot of people wasn't very familiar with like Madness. When I always felt like, on the Xbox side of things, at least in my knowledge, like I was kind of familiar with a lot of the PlayStation guys because honestly, PlayStation side, they held it down, the HLR. Like a lot of the great HLR creators is on the PlayStation side. And so I enjoyed watching a lot of their shows like the AWE, AOC and Namo matches and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just was studying all these matches to up my stuff. Like how can I, do shit on par with this, because my shit sucks compared to what they were doing. So with that, going back to the Light 2 spot, that was like a way to try to make myself stand out. I was like, all right, this was my first ever death match.
Yeah.
And I'm jumping around, but
That's
I was gonna mention about the death match thing you brought up with Matt Short making it popular. There's a guy named Adrian Bowen, on the EFED side of things, but he had a left call, came back to call, joined Rpro exclusively, but he was just doing HLR stuff. Like he didn't touch EFED, none of that. But he used to be primarily EFED guy. A lot of his matches were death matches. So like on the EFED side, that kind of was getting popular because of Adrian Bowen. So a lot of EFEDers was watching Rpro and seeing Bowen. He's like our Undertaker. Like,
okay.
He didn't show up as often. He was like, he was kind of like this voodoo gimmick. He had these long gray locks. It was a very dark gimmick. He always wrestled in black shorts, like above the knee, no knee pads, just black kick pads and black shorts.
Nice.
And he would compete in these death matches, and they were like, honestly, they were pretty good. Way better than what I was doing at the time. And he was using like barbed wire textures and things like that and stuff like I haven't really seen at the time. His deathmatch stuff is what I seen first before I stumbled across upon Matt Short. So when I seen what Matt was doing, I was like, oh shit, like there's a whole side that does this.
Yeah.
And there's a whole show and like fucking explosions going off. Like, so I gotta be a part of this show. And like through Madness is when I was like watching other HLR shows and really like studying how to put together a match. I want to say my real first good match that I felt like I can say like, all right, I want you guys to see this. I might give it to I think probably despite the angles not being the greatest,
Uh-huh.
my match against who at the time, well, this is when I was the Rpro World Champion. His name is Jericho Lawson.
Yeah.
I had dropped the belt to him at Battle of the Relentless 2. I feel like that was my first like. Actually, no. My first real good match. That was a good match, but I'm just very critical on angles nowadays. I was like, there was good spots in there, but the angles sucked.
Sometimes,
My first,
sometimes it's totally fine because that's back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you could get past through the angles, there was a lot of good spots in there.
Mm-hmm.
My first real good match, I honestly would say my death match.
Okay.
Because that's the first match I scripted ever.
Yeah.
Because I was making a death match. That's the one with the light 2 spot. I was like, if I'm making a death match, I gotta make it a death match. Like I can't just go in there. This is for COH. My first ever death match. Kazuchi Marufuji, death match wrestler, who's the side call of Taj. If you're familiar with Taj Naji.
Taj Naji, yeah.
Yeah, his side call is he's kind of like Jun Kasai mixed with forgetting another name, but he's like an insane Japanese deathmatch wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
It was a show for COH Legends of the Honor Temple, the Japan show, and I was like, yo, I gotta make a good death match. This is my first one. I never scripted a match. Like all before that, I was just go on the fly, come up with spots and see like how can I hit them. That's
so
the
you
thing.
wrote down your stuff before you did it?
Yeah.
I respect that.
I was before I was like you said, you trying to up your last match. That's how I was like I did all these cool spots. How can I even do even crazier stuff the next one? So, but after a while, after like watching a lot of matches, HLR matches, and seeing how people produced their matches and how they went about it, I was like, you know what? Like, you don't always have to try to be that match of the night. That's not what's important. It's cool, but if you could deliver a solid match, people will still enjoy it as long as it looks appealing and easy on the eyes. And that's why I talk about angles. You got to make sure it's easy on the eyes. Like sometimes
not many people get that. The
not
whole
a lot
easy
of
in
people
the
get
eyes.
it, and that's okay. Like
like I majored in graphic design, also known as visual communications. So if it's not pleasing to the eye, then then boom, like it's a no go.
Yeah.
That's how I learned, and that's just through graphic design. That's not even HLR or anything. Period. It's more just if it's not visually appealing to you, it's not gonna go.
you're gonna lose interest.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of people who's new to HLR, and it's okay to make mistakes. You know, you're first starting.
Yeah.
You're not expecting.
It's a tough community now.
Yeah, exactly.
Back then, people like, oh, it's HLR, I gotta watch it. Oh, it's good. Then
Yeah, now a lot of people are very critical.
Yeah, now 10 years later, like 5 years later, it's like, oh man, like
I'm critical, but in a sense where I'm not gonna give you harsh criticism. I'm not gonna tell you that shit sucked. Like
I'll tell you it sucks, but I'm gonna tell you why. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta just point people to the right direction. You can't really. And that's the thing. I'm not really a fan of when people do that. It's like, yo, even when it happens live, you're like, yo, this shit sucks.
Oh God, if it's live, bro.
I've seen that a couple times. Like, damn.
There's a lot of people in the IG side. I'm gonna tell you right now. They will say this match fucking sucks.
Bro,
who made it?
PlayStation side is very critical. Very critical. Like I've seen how they would like talk to some dudes, and I was like, damn, bro, like this dude's getting cooked.
Yeah. Like I'm the nice. So in the funny side is like in my IG side, people come up to me, hey X, can you give me advice? Because they know that I'm an HLR guy, Because a lot of people, I think the only people who are very well known is like R-Dub, me, Trey Mercer. There's a guy named Levi Seraph, Among those guys, I'm the one. I'm like that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You know, like, yo, you want HLR? Go hit up X because he'll tell you what's up. You know, some guys are very hard to reach because I don't think they like teaching. You know,
there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, so for me, I'm more of I will teach you how to HLR, but I can't teach you how to put a match together because everybody has their own style of putting their matches together.
Exactly, and I can relate to that very.
Yeah, because HLR is easy. You can teach anybody how to HLR. Here are the camera angles. Learn this.
You could give somebody the keys to the whip, but you can't teach them how to drive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Literally. Like I try my best, you know, like you said, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm a kind person at heart, so I try to be as kind as I can to people. If people don't like your match, if I didn't like your match, I'll tell you why. But like I'll give you criticism to where it's effective and where you could learn where you messed up. And I'm not perfect.
No,
everyone messes up.
I had to teach myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, I'll tell like, hey, like maybe you should like slow it down a bit. Or I've noticed, and this is a pattern, and I've even done this, where like a lot of new guys in HLR would try to make long matches.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, make a long match equals a banger.
A banger. No, it's not.
Never the case.
It's not.
That is not the case.
And you know what's funny is I had a lot of short matches, but people don't remember them. They only know me as the guy who does 30-minute classics. And I only had probably 3 of those.
Bro.
That's the funny part behind me is, guys, I had short matches. It's just, you know, so it's funny. Because I had a lot of short matches. It's just people don't remember them. They like the big ones. Like, I don't know.
I realized this as I was, getting better and better at HLR. I was like, I don't need to do 30-minute matches all the freaking time because it was taking a toll on me. I was like, damn, I gotta do another 30-minute match.
That mindset of like, I gotta top this one.
Bro, it's a killer.
It is.
So I was talking to a couple people, and they gave me some advice. One of them, Matrix, was on the Xbox side of things. We were supposed to have a match in Affinity, which it didn't happen. I recorded it. I'm kind of happy it didn't happen because I didn't really like my portion of the match. So I'm assuming that's why it probably never got done with, because my portion was kind of sucky. But this was during a time where I was still learning, very new in HLR. I believe this is my first year in it.
Yeah.
So, he gave me some pointers. Hey, watch some matches, get familiar with how the camera work is in actual professional wrestling shows. So I would watch how like New Japan does their camera work, Noah, WWE,
that's smart,
AEW, and that's what really helped me with my camera angles. Like, how can I mimic what I see on TV? And that's when it comes to how's it appealing to the eyes.
Yeah.
Not that Kevin Dunn shit though.
Nah.
Where
you know what's funny?
To see 1,000 angles in 5 seconds.
So I learned my camera angles, and you're gonna find this very interesting. So I made XVPW, right? Boom, boom, boom. I'm learning how to HLR. Boom. I was like, I want to learn the business. I have all these big ass equipment for a fucking HLR EFED show, but I really want to learn. So I learned by being a photographer for Capital Wrestling, indie promotion. Then from there, I got my foot in the door at Pro Wrestling Magic. Then you'll understand this. You know about HOG, House of Glory, Evolve.
Yes,
they were there. So I was a photographer.
I'll tell you after you finish. I'll tell you something.
So I learned photography, and from photography, it's easy to learn videography. So I was helping produce footage and taking footage as a real camera person for those independent promotions that I mentioned. That's how I learned my angles, my camera angles and whatnot. So I'm like, perfect. So now
you had a real life experience.
Yeah. Well, I learned about the hard cam. It never moves. There's only 2 or 3 ring guys holding cameras. All right, boom.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pretend that there's a camera guy here and a camera guy there. Over the top rope, maybe, but majority of the times it's under the rope because they don't like guys on the top of the rope, you know. So yeah, that's how I learned about my camera angles, just natural.
There was a time where I forgot who it was, but like I remember sometimes we used to share little clips here and there when I was trying to do HLR, and they would tell me, "Yo, bottom rope, bottom rope."
Yeah.
So I kind of got that drilled into me as I, preferably people like when it's bottom of the rope.
Mm-hmm.
And more of my recent matches I've been enjoying using hard cam as well.
Yeah.
Because before my older matches, I never did hard cam.
Really?
In my mind, I'm thinking cinema. Like, who wants to see hard cam? I'm trying to have these cinematic ass angles, which is fine. You could have some really cool camera angles here and there, just the way how you got to use it. So you mentioned House of Glory. I used to live in Queens.
Oh, nice.
And
Jamaica?
Literally, no, not Jamaica. Ridgewood,
Ridgewood,
which is literally like borderline Brooklyn. Queens.
Yeah,
Like across the street was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Down the block from me was the training school of House of Glory.
Oh, okay.
And I used to pass by all the time, and I would sit there and watch them train. I wanted to train so bad, but like it was kind of like expensive, and
it is.
I wasn't working at the time. I was a teenager, so I couldn't really, and I didn't want my mom paying for that because I've always been like kind of like I always felt like I have to be independent, so I hated like asking my mom for money. And there was times where I see Amazing Red in there.
Legend right there.
Yeah, I think that's like the closest to like a big wrestler like that I've seen, up close. Other than like, outside the ring, like Christian and stuff like that. But like in action, up close, Amazing Red, I've seen him teaching a couple people. I've seen him like running the ropes, taking bumps. People in the neighborhood would just sit down and watch them take bumps all the time. It was cool stuff. But yeah, that's dope, man. That's real life experience going in there.
I learned about booking. So this is before COVID. So right after COVID is like, okay, I gotta go back to work. But before COVID, I was so into the scene. Like I knew everybody and everybody knew me as that, I called myself the phenomenal photographer because I would take their pictures and upload them the same day so they can use it for their thing, and they know me for that. Then they know me like, yo, you're so good at the camera, like videography. Like, yeah, I could do that. I could put some pieces together. I could put matches together for you. Kind of learned that through HLR, right? It's like piecing them together.
That's the thing about call.
Yeah.
I feel like people undermine it sometimes. Yeah. Like I see a couple people here and there. Yeah. I mean, everyone has different experiences. But they'll be like, yo, this call shit sucks, or like wasting your life on this. And at the end of the day,
think about it. Hobby. It is a hobby, but for me, it's
learn stuff out of it.
Yeah, I learned match booking. I learned putting matches together outside of the booking, match placements, being a booker, being a producer. Now I don't know where the wave started with this, but everybody's so big into sound editing now for their HLR shows. I don't know if that was a thing on 2K19, but bro, sound editing.
We got those sounds growing in 2K19, but now it's like, that's important. And my sound editing was shit back then. Yeah.
I didn't start sound editing till last year. I'm like, oh, this is a thing? Like, okay. So I legit took my recorder and I went to a bunch of indie shows, and cause I did not want to have the same sounds as everybody. Yeah,
that's fire.
I went to the schools, do a chop, and I put my recorder near the guy.
And also, what I started thinking, I don't think a lot of people do this. So if y'all listening and want to get sounds, do that shit yourself. Like, you want an official chop? Chop your chest.
Chop your fucking chest.
Bro, I was like, because I remember, so we in Rpro, we have this show called Live in East, which is coming up. This is our next event. Mm-hmm. It's our Japan show. And Tanaka had a feud between him and his own father.
Oh, that was... Speaking about that was a match that I watched a lot of.
How'd you like that?
I loved it.
Bro, that's my favorite match.
I think because one, and again, you probably might take care of this. I've never seen it done before. Two, there was a really good story behind it, and I think the following match afterwards, you had a match with somebody else, and you use your father's move or some shit like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I remember that. I was like, yo, that's storytelling right there.
I'm very huge on Tanaka's story and just consistency and continuity. Like I try to use as much like wherever he is, I try to like when he went heel everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want him to be a heel here and a face there. Like I want it to be, you know, who he is everywhere. Aside, COH is a bit different. He's he has an exclusive gimmick at the moment where he's Hollywood Tanaka. But the
Okay.
Manami Star is his real gimmick everywhere else.
Where did you come up with that? I always wanted to ask
Bro,
you.
that so before I get into that, just to talk about the sound thing. So I'll get into the Hollywood stuff. This is a funny story.
Okay.
But so the sound editing, live in East. This is when I said, I could just hit myself. Not hard, but
Yeah.
so I was doing the chop. There's a part where Hanote is like hitting Matsuda with these chops in the corner, chop after chop. I was like, and he's doing the machine gun chops. And I'm like, I don't want to do all this sound. So you know what? I'm gonna just go with the video. I'm gonna just do this.
Like that.
Bro, it was like, bro, that's it right there. Like, and in my mind, like, damn, why a lot of people don't do this? It would save so much time.
Yeah.
You want your authentic sound? There you go, right there. Drop in gems.
Yo,
Hit yourself. Not too hard. Don't injure yourself.
Exactly. Like I legit took my recorder and I'm like, yo, I'm surrounded by all these fucking wrestlers, cause I'm holding the camera and shit. I'm just like, they're cutting like XVPW like live commercials for me. I'm just gonna go there and use my recorder and just like, yo, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do like a super kick? Can you thigh slap yourself like many million times? Like,
because I watch certain HLL matches and I'll hear like certain sounds like, yo, where the hell are they getting these sounds from? This should sound real.
There's a pet peeve of mine though, and a lot of people who are watching right now, they're probably guilty of this shit. And I'm gonna say it right now. This is what really grinds my gears. When you're in submission, stop using the fucking Will Ospreay Ricochet, freaking. There's a Will Ospreay sound bit that everybody uses on all their submission locks, and it is making me upset. Because not everybody sounds like fucking Will Ospreay, and I know it's Will Ospreay.
Is he in the submission or he's the one that's?
He's taking a submission from Ricochet.
Okay, I got you.
And he's
so
like oh! Like fucking rough, shit like that. And I'm like, yo, he does not sound like.
So that Hanote match was the first time that I kind of used vocals.
Yeah.
And I had found I hope I still have these matches saved. So I had found dark WWE matches from like 2003. I was watching Brock Lesnar old matches, but there was no commentary, so it was just straight sounds. And he was like doing a Brock lock, and you can hear them like selling it. I was like, oh yeah, I could use this and put it in here, and make it sound official. So I was doing that. So going to you had mentioned, damn, you had to ask me a question.
Where did you get
the Hollywood gimmick? The Hollywood
gimmick. The Manami Star,
There's a backstory to this. So, and this ties into call drama.
Oh God. Okay.
And I don't know if you find with me name dropping. I'll name drop it.
You can name that all you want, bro. This is
sorry,
live and direct.
I'm fuck it. Everybody got to know the story. It's just too funny not to say the story. So one day on Twitter, there's a guy named Jaden Shadow.
Okay.
Jaden Shadow, he randomly he added me and said something along the lines of, yo, Matsuda has gone to Hollywood now, whatever. And he like took a shot at me. And like Jaden Shadow is not really, he doesn't have a lot of friends in terms of like he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So a lot of people are not very fond of him.
Yeah.
And if he hears this, bro, I'm just being real. But like he, for whatever reason, took a shot at me.
Okay.
and I never really like had any interactions with him. Like I had spoke to him in the past, like one time. This was like when I wasn't really around call, and I didn't know what he did, and people were not very happy with what he did. So I guess he had assumed that we had some kind of friendship or whatever, and I just never spoke to him since that day. It was just the one time we spoke. For whatever reason, he took it up to himself and thought like, "Yo, this dude went Hollywood on me. He's not talking to me anymore. He's doing all these matches,
Yeah.
whatever." And so it became a whole thing that day. Everyone was getting, or not everyone. I got into an argument with him on Twitter, and people were like coming to my aid, like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" This and that. It was a
Mm-hmm.
whole big thing,
Yeah, yeah.
and so like, everybody was on my side, trying to be supportive of me. Because I don't get into that kind of stuff. So when that happens, it's like, yo, like, what is this all about? Like, I don't beef with anybody, and
Mm-hmm.
don't even cause drama. I like to stay out of it. Um, so calls me Hollywood, and I thought it was hilarious the day after. I'm like, you know what? I hit up Tone, and I was like, I want to do an exclusive COH gimmick, and I want to be essentially Hollywood Hope. I want to be Hollywood Tanaka. And he was like, do it. This is perfect. And since then, I was like, yo, a lot of people didn't know that that's where it came
Came
from. But
from. That's
literally,
great.
it's because Jaden Shadow called me Hollywood on Twitter. And I was like, you know what? You're out here trying to like antagonize me and whatever and whatnot. I'm gonna
You,
make this a thing
you
to
took
make you look
something negative and make it into a positive.
into a positive.
That's great. You know
Um,
what's funny? That's
and
how XVPW is right now. Is like, yo, everybody's doing these fucking serious ass HLR shows. There's nothing funny, and we're so used to clowning them. We're just gonna clown our own promotion. So I was like, yo, and that's how it looks like. That's why the past episode I said it goes back to the indies, because the indies, that's where I learned my shit from, and we clown them all the time,
mm,
So it's like, okay, it's gonna be a professional looking product, but it's not gonna be run professionally at all. So and it fits, and everybody fucking loved it. The episode was yesterday. It's like we wasted so much money on this budget. Fucking hot dogs. We only have one bathroom running, ladies and gentlemen. So please be careful. Like I'm on commentary, like it's
bro,
yeah,
like you said, you gotta make yourself stand out, and just
yeah.
people see that
Mm-hmm.
and they understand like,
Yeah.
okay, like this is being done because
Mm-hmm.
you want to, like I said, make yourself stand out,
Yeah.
and when people see that and they get used to it and they understand how and why, they're gonna love it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is why I gave a shout out to Ammo
Yeah.
earlier. I was like, yo, like it's a show just for side calls. And
Yeah.
all majority of the shows and episode titles are just bits.
Mm-hmm.
They're just named after just hilarious shit. Chain turtleneck and chain wrestling.
So we have 10 more minutes on, because I'm gonna end this in 10 minutes, and I feel like this is a really good discussion. But I want to talk about, you're really into Japanese wrestling. Like, after hearing you say a lot of these old school names, I'm like, when did you started getting into Japanese wrestling?
So I want to say, so like yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I discovered like
Mm-hmm.
guys like Kenta,
Yeah.
and not Kenta Kobashi but Kenta
Yeah.
um through YouTube. But I
Mm-hmm.
never really got into it. I was just casually watching clips of them. I was like, oh, this shit's cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what is going on here? I want to say when I really got into it was just a few years ago. I want to say 2020 is when I
Okay.
really started like watching, and and a lot of it is because I wanted to work on Tanaka's character as well. It's like, okay, I'm trying to
So you
be
want to
as
so you
authentic.
researched a lot of styles. Like,
Exactly. I want to be as authentic as I can be because I'm not Japanese.
no, of course
I'm I'm Dominican.
DK,
I'm
DK.
the furthest from Japanese. Um, but Tanaka, the call is Japanese,
Hmm.
so I want him to be, as close to Puro as I can. Um,
Hmm.
so I want to say, yeah, 2020. I started watching more New Japan.
Hmm.
I got into Joshi around 2021.
They took that scene, man. They took Stardom to.
Bro, it's
That was the
amazing.
only YouTube fucking promotion that was just strictly YouTube. You can watch it right there.
It's amazing. I put on a
It's
lot
fire.
of my friends, like one of my cousins who's now getting into Stardom. I've been telling him for like
Hmm.
a couple months now. I was like, bro, why Stardom? Bro, why Stardom? Yo,
Did you watch Lucha Underground when the Stardom girls?
um, Lucha Underground. I didn't get to watch a lot of it. I remember
Oh,
my cousin was telling me, yo, check out this show, Lucha Underground. It's
yeah.
like a novella. But like it's wrestling. I was
Yeah.
like, yo, and he put me on an
Black
episode.
Lotus Triad, bro. Those Stardom
Oh,
girls,
I
Io,
seen
Mayo.
I seen what they were doing.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is fire.
Yeah.
What the
That's how I
fuck,
got into Joshi wrestling. Because I'm like, yo, who are these three girls? Like they're killing it
bro?
right now.
And I
Then
got to see Mayo live.
oh
Mayo
yeah, yeah.
in October.
Rubber neck.
Uh,
She has a fucking rubber neck, bro.
bro, I don't know
Ah.
how she does it, but she is still standing, and it's great to see it. She's amazing live as
Hmm.
well. But yeah, got into Joshi 2021. Love Starlight Kid. She's my favorite
Oh yeah,
Joshi
I think she's
right
very
now.
body. Yes, she's
Um,
great.
but also Azumi is really good. Um, and I started watching a lot of old Puro like Kenta Kobashi, Masawa. Um,
Onita.
my match with Jaeger.
Uh huh.
Uh, have you seen that match?
With Jaeger?
Ground with me and Jaeger, Kiyoshima.
No.
So it's actually on YouTube. I'll send you the link
Okay,
after this.
cool.
So are you familiar with Jaeger?
I'm someone
Kyo?
else. Yeah,
Or
yeah.
he used to go by Kyo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was more popular like on the PlayStation side of things. But he used to be on a lot of shows with like Lance Frisco and Maury Island,
Okay.
a couple people. Um, so he recently joined Rpro. It was like a huge signing for us. He's like pretty popular dude, HLR dude. And I had this match with him. And a lot of people's looking forward to seeing it. And his call is Korean. I'm Japanese.
Did
We
he
did this whole
face
thing.
Shaiba?
I'm gonna face him very soon.
No,
Actually,
did
I
he
haven't
face
faced him yet.
Saiba? Did
Oh, did
Keo?
he face Saiba?
I feel like I probably watched that match. If he faced Saiba.
I don't know if Kiyoshi Saiba's still in here, but I don't think they faced, but there was an event called Summer Love
Yes.
where Saiba had a
Yes.
match,
Okay. Okay.
and
I think Ardub faced Keo then, because I
um
do remember that like Ardub posted something.
there was two Summer Loves.
Yeah.
There was one that just passed, and there was one before that.
Yes.
Where Kiyoshi Saiba had a match, and there was an angle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is the same match.
Okay.
I think Jaeger got involved. I might be mistaken it, but Jaeger was on that show. Kiyoshi Saiba was on the same show as well.
Mm-hmm.
This, all right, Caleb, relax. I'm reading the chat. So the Jaeger match. So he joins Rpro, and the whole thing was, I was promoting. Oh, somebody's joining my faction, Shogun, and he makes his big debut. Like, oh, he's the new member of Shogun.
Yeah.
We're all celebrating, and then he turns on me the same night. So this starts our feud.
Okay.
And I have him run through a gauntlet where he has to fight each and every member to get to me. He beats all the members except for Akio. Akio is our big he's like our enforcer essentially. Akio got himself disqualified. He choked out Jaeger, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we faced at Ground Zero, which is our Rumble pay-per-view.
Okay.
And I based the match heavily on Marufuji and Kenta.
All right.
And so I was just studying a bunch of their matches and how to start this. So it was very hard hitting. And I really got into just how raw Pyro is. Like, bro, they be hitting the shit out of each other.
I love old school shit like that. Because the King's Road style is way. I mean, there's King, like, you know, King of Strong style and whatnot. But Road style is like, you're only going to debut that one ending finisher, but you're going to go spam on your other finishers. So, like, Kobashi's Burning Hammer, you probably saw like 7 times, even though he's been wrestling for like, you know, for like 14 years and shit. Like,
I think he made that just solely to beat Misawa.
Exactly. So
like, that's insane. It's like, yo,
like, that's his finisher.
I'm gonna make a move to beat you.
To beat you.
Like, what?
That's fucking ridiculous. And nobody really does that, you know? Yeah,
no.
like, you know, like, cause so my favorite wrestler of all time is Hayabusa, right?
Fire.
He only did the Phoenix Splash probably twice in his fucking career. You know, his finisher is also Falcon Arrow and all that stuff. Then my second favorite is actually Shibata. Shibata is like there would not. So when I came back to Kaw, because my original gimmick was 4 eyes. Like, I took something negative, make it to a positive, right? So then I retired, and I realized that, like 6 years later, I'm in this IG community, and I remember there was a poll saying that there's no good baby faces or people are scared to be baby faces. I'm like, okay. You know, I'll take you up on that offer, you know? So I came back as a baby face, and I called myself X, Comeback Kid, Heartbreak Kid, hello, you know? And I wanted to base my style on just strikes because I love Shibata. Like, that was Sakura Genesis. Shibata versus Okada was probably my all-time favorite match I ever watched ever. I'm like, okay, like,
that shit's a banger. I love that he's having a resurgence right now. Like, it's really dope to just see him wrestling right now. Because, you know, we thought we were never gonna see him again wrestling. You know,
hard hitting, technical, that beautiful chemistry of like this like technical style wrestling. Like, I could be a spot fest guy, but if I could tell a story just by kicking you in the head, I
grew out of that. I was like, at a certain point, it was like I just want to tell stories in the ring. And so I just try to learn how to pace my matches. Not everything has to be a spot fest to me. And, you know, there's people in Cole who like their matches to be a spot fest, and that's okay. You know, everybody has their own way of producing matches, but nowadays I just want to tell a story. And I find myself sometimes I even enjoy making matches more than for other people other than mine.
Yo, I did that not too long ago, and to be honest, I think that's probably my top 3 favorite matches. And it's not even me involved.
Bro, same thing. One of my favorite matches ever is it's Ichika Kai versus Asahi Tanaka, which is not associated with me. It's on YouTube. I'll send you that link to that as well. And I love that match. I feel like it's one of the best I've ever done.
I did Crom versus Trey Mercer. And I think the reason why I love that match so much is because those two know about Japanese wrestling. It's like perfect. But the fact that I'm touching moves that I never even attempted before, because X is a striker, so I never did any grapples, and I'm just like looking.
It's always fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at suplexes like, oh, that's a dope suplex. That's another dope suplex. Oh, there's a group slam. I get to use a choke slam for the first time. Let's do it.
Yeah, I get to throw this dude over the top, bro.
Yeah, man. I totally understand.
That's part of the reason why I changed. So Tanaka originally used to be kind of more of a high flyer.
Oh, okay.
He was I don't want to say scrawny, but he was kind of built, you know, pretty. He was like a lean dude.
Yeah.
So he did a lot of flashy, high flying stuff. And I brought up Adrian Bowen earlier. That's like Tanaka's. That's his Joker, essentially.
Oh, okay.
the lore behind Tanaka and Adrian Bowen goes so far back. It's amazing.
That's what's up.
And he's like a really tall dude in comparison to Tanaka. I think he's like 6'7". He's like really like muscular, but he's a puro guy. And I did a story where, okay, how can I face this dude when I'm like not even half his weight? So I purposely like made Tanaka fall off the mat in Rpro for like a good 3-4 months.
Yeah.
And he came back. He was much more in shape. I was like, yo, I'm trying to go for that Kota Ibushi, IWGP body, like,
super, murder Ibushi,
bro. Like, it's like if I'm gonna fight this dude, I gotta look like I'm ready to go. So I made Tanaka a bit more muscular and hard hitting, and really leaned into the puro side and doing a lot of suplexes and
that's what's up.
Forearms, and I find myself enjoying that way more than doing all the high flying stuff. And now if I do high flying stuff, it's a reason for it. It's not just I'm not gonna fly over the rope just cause, like,
exactly.
It's the heat of the moment. Matches, is building, trying to go all out. I place my spots strategically nowadays.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, what an amazing interview.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I enjoy doing these.
That's what's up, man. I'd love to have you on next time, bro. We'll talk more about Japanese wrestling. I'm down for that. All right, guys. Well,
a pleasure.
Thank you for watching XVPW's Live and Direct.
Thanks for having me.
This is Matsuda Tanaka. A little recap of what just happened at XVPW. I released XVPW's Best Effing Show episode 4. Be sure to check that out. That was last night's show. I faced against the bad boy Joey Janela. I had Rob Van Dam in it, and I'm newly signed to WWE. But now I had Brian Pillman Jr. He was a special opponent for Monoxide's Network Championship. Matsuda, I know you had a show not too long ago. Be sure to plug that in right now so people can check it out.
Yes, indeed. Unfiltered Violence over on Twitch. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce my Twitch name, but it is KYR Scorsese. A lot of people say it's Scorsese, and
Scorsese. That's a fucking director.
Yeah, I'm a big Scorsese guy.
Martin Scorsese, come on.
I love Martin Scorsese. My favorite.
Wolf of Wall Street. Hello.
Favorite film ever. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. That's my shit right there.
I did a promo that was literally a Goodfellas scene.
I respect that.
Oh, a segment. Yeah, man. Unfiltered Violence over on my Twitch channel. Night 1 and 2, be sure to check that out. It was our most viewed show ever. Over 100 viewers, which was insane. Live. I wouldn't ever imagine consistently. I was like, whoa, like, what is going on right now? So if you like hardcore wrestling, bro, go check it out. It's not all we do, but that night is specifically for that. But yeah, man.
All right, nice chatting with you, bro. And if you ever want to have a match in Xtreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, you know where to reach me. I would love to have you on sometime. But yeah, man. If you guys ever want to be on XVPW Live and Direct, just feel free to DM me. I'll be sure to get back to you. But what a great interview. You're a great dude, man.
It was fun. Appreciate it, man.
All right, take care.
Thank you for having me. You too, bro.